Hey everyone, it's Mega Champ once again. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, I have quite a lot to talk about when it comes to the summer game stuff. And there's still more to come cuz it's only Saturday as of the recording of this video. And there's still the Sunday one, and there is now a rumored Nintendo Direct. At this point, I might as well just wait for the Nintendo Direct. That's not what you're here for, unless you are. You won't be here for much longer because it's time for another Full Thoughts video, in case it wasn't already obvious and clear. No screaming and yelling. Hopefully I am done doing that for at least the rest of the year. That is the hope. That is the hope. I will certainly try my best to no longer do the screaming and yelling because it really doesn't do any good other than it making me feel better, but it does help. Anyway, so yeah, I finally finished after almost 115 hours. No, I'm not joking. Boy, I wish I was. Octopath Traveler 2. I finally finished it. I played it on the Nintendo Switch 2. I don't really remember if it came out on all platforms on the same day, but this is what Metacritic says when it came out. Not that it really matters, but I did finally finish Octopath Traveler 2, so it's time for me to give my personal feelings, thoughts, experiences, and opinions on this particular game. So as usual, as normal, as per the broken record part of this particular style of thing that I do, this is just the way that I personally feel about the game, my thoughts on the game, my experience with the game, and my opinion on the game. You can have your opinion, everyone can have their opinion. You will have a different experience and thought, so will everyone else, which means I can have my own opinion and feel the way that I'm going to feel, and I'm going to tell you the truth and how I feel, no matter if you like it or not. We have established this, so yeah. To the best of my ability, I will go over with as few spoilers as possible, or as little, or as spoiler-free as possible, the story of the game, the characters, the world and the setting, the graphics, and the gameplay. There is not much really for me to discuss before I go into this. There's no difficulty option when I played this game, or if there is or was. I don't remember that being the case. So I played it on the base difficulty, or if there wasn't a difficulty, then it doesn't matter. So we're going to start as we normally start, which is the story of the game. I will be as spoiler-free as possible, but there's actually a lot when it comes to the story, which would make this way too long. So I'm going to give a sort of thumb note, sort of, so to speak, version of the stories, because I have to talk about 8. You heard me right. 8 different stories. Octopath Traveler. Octo means 8. What were you expecting? Because there are 8 different stories with 8 different characters that do eventually all connect together at the end of the game. And it would take me way too long to explain them all, and it would technically involve spoilers, so I'll give a very brief, short version summary of the stories, or thumb note version, or however you want to put it, or whatever word you wish to use here. But like I said, there are 8 different stories with 8 different characters that do eventually all connect together at the end of the game. So here is a sort of short version, very quick summary, thumb note version of all the 8 different stories. So there is a hunter named Ochette searching for legendary monsters or creatures to help save her home or island. An apothecary, Casti, who has lost their memories and is attempting to get them back and remember who she is. Yeah, that's totally not basic. We'll get into that later. A thief, Throne, who is trying to escape from the group she is a part of and gain her freedom. A scholar, Oswald, who was wrongfully imprisoned for a crime he did not commit and is seeking revenge on the person who took his family from him. I mean, that's not much of a spoiler. When you play Oswald, it's literally what is told to you at the start. That's a minor. That's not even that much of a spoiler. A merchant, Particio, who is trying to eliminate poverty from the world. Yes, I'm being serious. That is literally what the story is. Or at least that's what he says. Anyway. A dancer, Agnia, who is trying to become a star or celebrity. A cleric, Temenos, who is trying to uncover the truth of a string of murders and who is responsible for them and why. So Temenos' story is basically a murder mystery. And a warrior, Hikari, who is trying to claim his rightful place on the throne and become king of his country in order to lead his country and his home to a future with no bloodshed or war. Boy, I wish it was that simple. So those are the 8 different stories, or a very short version or summary version or thumbnail version of the stories without giving you spoilers, in case you do feel like playing this game, which you should. You're going to see why here, and that's already my immediate recommendation, but we can talk about that more later when I get to the overall of the game. And a couple of things you need to know, unlike the prior game, the first Octopath Traveler, unlike the prior or the first game, the characters do interact with each other more, including something called crossed paths, quote unquote, where 2 of the characters interact with each other and help solve a problem together. Yeah, this is far better. This is far better, much better than the prior in the first game. Though, honestly, a part of me does still kind of wish that the travel banters, which is this game's version of the skits from the Tales of franchise, were voiced like the skits are in the Tales of franchise. Doesn't matter if I didn't like the skits in Tales of Arise, which we know I didn't. I do still kind of wish that those particular ones were voiced. I guess it's just a staple at this point, and I'm going to have to just sort of suck it up and deal with it, so to speak. So to speak. I mean, technically it is a staple of the franchise. I just do kind of wish they would put a bit more effort, but let's try to keep costs down, I guess. But I'll take the much more interaction than what was in the prior game. That's for sure. It was far, far better. Far, far better. And then something else that didn't happen in the prior game. Have you noticed the theme here yet? All of the characters do interact with each other. Finally, fucking finally, during the finale and true ending of the game, and it's much more easier, far easier to unlock the true ending of the game, unlike the prior game, and isn't as complicated or locked behind side quests. That is a massive improvement. Far better, extremely better than the prior game. Thank you for this, seriously. Having to require to do side quests just to do a true ending is ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm just telling you how I feel. The true ending of the first game was locked behind side quests. That's ridiculous. I pretty much unlocked the true ending in Octopath Traveler 2 without even trying. Yeah. That's how much easier and how far better it is compared to the prior game. And even though it's not immediately clear, and it's actually not even exactly clear or made clear for quite a while in this game, there are minor connections between all of the stories. Some more obvious than others, but most of it isn't really made clear until some of the final parts of the crossed paths that I mentioned before sections, and also it's not made fully and abundantly clear until the finale and the true ending of the game, where all of the stories finally connect with each other and are made clear with how they connect with each other, at least for the most part. Not all of the stories connect with each other, but for the most part they do. Overall, when it comes to all of the stories in the game and the overall story, I suppose, most of the stories are honestly pretty good. They really are. Some are better than others, obviously. I did like Hikari's The Warriors, this guy right here. I did like Hikari's story the most out of all of the characters, and it was my personal favorite out of all of the 8. Like I kind of said earlier, Casty's little amnesiac story is kind of beaten to death a little too much. And, it is kind of run of the mill, so to speak, for the most part. But, I guess it is what it is. It was actually still pretty good for the most part, despite it being something that might be done a little too much. But so I actually ended up enjoying Casty's story a lot more than I initially thought I would, which, is good. When something surprises me like that, it's a good thing. I'm just saying the amnesia-esque story is a bit overdone. That's really all I'm trying to say. Temenos' story was obviously Ace Attorney-like, and everyone should know by now that I do like the mystery stuff. And there is actually more I could say about Temenos' story, but it would technically be a spoiler. There's your hint when it comes to the how everything ends up connecting together. So there you go. There's your hint. Yeah, surprisingly, I don't really have much else to say about the story, or really have much to complain or critique about for the stories. I mean, I didn't really hate, quote unquote, any of them, and none of them were particularly boring, quote unquote. Again, unlike the prior game. Yes, we all remember that I gave Octopath Traveler 1 my disappointment of the year one year. Well, I remember it. But yeah, clearly the writing in this game was far better than the first game. Great job. Great job. You have exceeded my expectations and exceeded the prior game. You learned your lesson. Imagine learning your lesson. But the finale and the final and true ending was unbelievably fantastic, fucking amazing, and probably the best part of the game. It really did make all of it worth it. All that almost 115 hours was worth it. It was. The ending was fucking amazing. Mwah, chef's kiss to that. Yeah, not much else for me to say about the story without going into spoiler territory. Far better than the first game. Far better than the first game. Massive improvement. Loved it a shit ton. Great job overall with all of the stories and what they did. At least they learned their lesson, I guess. Oh well. So the characters of the game, I kind of already told them all to you, but I will go over them once again. I mean, they're all on this screen right here, but I can't really zoom in, but oh well. So, the main 8 characters of the game, the 8 travelers of the game, are obviously, like I mentioned before, Ochette, Casty, Throne, Oswald, Particio, Agnia, Temenos, and Hikari. Let's see here. That's Agnia, Throne, if I can talk, Hikari, Oswald, Casty, Particio, Ochette, and Temenos. There you go. Let's see. There are obviously other important characters Part 2, including the villains and antagonists, but it would take me far too long to go over them all. Seriously, it would. So all I'm really going to say here when it comes to the characters of the game is that all of the characters were great, honestly. They were. They were. Again, not much for me to really complain about or critique here, because I didn't particularly hate any of the characters outside of the villains, but that's literally the villain's job, to make you hate them. So they did a good job. You're supposed to hate the villains, obviously, and some of the shocking reveals that occur later during the finale and the true ending of the game. Let's just say certain characters that you might end up liking, you might end up wanting to stab multiple times. Anyway, the character development was mostly good, for the most part, at least for the 8 main ones that I just went over. They did a surprisingly good job despite the amount of characters and other important characters that were in the game. However, maybe that really isn't too much of a surprise that the character development was good, considering that it's a JRPG and most of those tend to be really long, at least 80 plus hours. So they definitely had plenty of time to do that. So it's maybe not that much of a surprise, but still, it was another massive improvement over the prior game, in which I felt most of those characters were mostly meh overall. So there you go. That is how I felt about most of the characters in the first game, that they were mostly meh. So it's another massive improvement here. Just an overall great job with the characters and the character development overall, at least from my experience and my feeling and opinion of the game. Or this particular Octopath Traveler, at least, because there's 3 games now, though it's not 1, 2, and 3, it's 1, 2, and 0, but we can get into that later as well. Oh boy. I'm sure they might eventually make an Octopath Traveler 3. Maybe. I don't know. So the world and setting of the game, where the game takes place, basically. Obviously here, this is a part of a franchise now, because like I just said, there are 3 games. So it's similar to the first Octopath Traveler, in the sense that it takes place in the far distant past, and mostly a fantasy setting, quote-unquote. Because, here's an example for you. One of the stories, Partitios, actually involves showing how, at least this game's take, on how department stores were invented and came up with, if that gives you an indication of an idea of the setting. So the setting and the world are fine in this game. It does kind of fit the HD 2D graphic style and is basically the same with the prior game. It's a fantasy setting. What were you expecting? There really wasn't much they could do here or do with this when it comes to the setting, considering what they had already established with the first game, which in this case, for me at least, is fine. It is. I mean, seriously, it is. I am okay with the fantasy setting. Shocking, I know. It's why I mostly liked mostly like and do like and still like and will continue to like the Final Fantasy franchise. Though obviously in Final Fantasy they do sometimes have more modern settings and worlds, but I am okay with the fantasy setting and it mostly being in the distant past with Octopath Traveler. I'm okay with it. It fits what they had already established, and it would be kind of weird if they strayed away from that, just saying. However, I would also just say that maybe it's time, I'm just spitballing here, for a more modern setting for the Octopath Traveler franchise. Maybe? I'm not saying they should do it. I'm just saying they might want to experiment a little here, because that could be interesting, unique, and different. Like I said, I'm just mostly spitballing here. I'm not saying I want that. I'm not saying they should do that. I'm just saying it'd be kind of unique and interesting. But I'm okay with whatever they decide to do. If they want to keep doing it in the past to sort of fit the fantasy sort of overall theme and setting here, which would be understandable, that's fine. It's fine. I'm just saying it'd be kind of unique if they tried to do a more modern setting for Octopath, but they'll do whatever they want and I will be okay with it because I won't be given a choice, and also because I'm already kind of okay with it. So there you go. There you go. There you go. When it comes to the graphics, oh boy, here we go. HD 2D. It's supposed to activate the nostalgia in you. I mean, there's the saying that is, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and it's very fitting and it's on the mark here. It's supposed to activate the nostalgia in you for when most games were like this, 2D, and not 4K HD, $1 billion to make video games. Obviously a massive exaggeration on that last part, but you get the point. Look, I don't actually have an issue with HD 2D. I don't. Despite what it may seem, and despite what others may seem to think that I think, which they are completely and utterly wrong about. But here's the other thing. HD 2D isn't the answer to the so-called game industry, quote-unquote, problem where games cost too much to make. It's not the answer. I'm sorry, it's not. But this is obviously a conversation for another day, so to speak. I'm just saying HD 2D is not the answer to all of the Pokemon problems, and it's not the answer overall. In some situations, like the Star Ocean sort of remakes, or at least what they did with Second Story R, yeah, that fits. With Octopath Traveler, yeah, it fits. With the upcoming Adventures of Elliot game that I played the demo for, that I gave my thoughts for in a YouTube post, yes, it fits. In other games, yes, it fits. If they decide to do a Final Fantasy VI remake, which I won't play, I'm sorry, I won't. Yes, it makes sense for FF6 remake to be HD 2D. It's still not the answer. It's still not the answer. I'm sorry. Because at the same time, HD 2D is not all that great. It's not. I'm sorry, it's just not. Am I too used to the current graphics of current generation, and you could even argue past generation for the PlayStation 4 era and the other and that Xbox generation era? Yeah, I am used to it. No shit, I'm used to it. How could I not be? HD 2D is not the greatest thing that most people want to make it seem to be. I'm sorry, it's just not. And I am personally never going to feel that way, but that's just how I personally feel. You can feel however you want about HD 2D. Clearly, this is just going to be the case. A little 2D game for Cuphead was just announced during Summer Game Fest. It fits. Each situation is different. I don't know why that's so hard to comprehend, but whatever. Each situation is different. Feel however you want. It just means I can feel however I want. Like I've said before, and like I will continue to say, it fit what they were going for and what the franchise is pretty much known for at this point. That's really all that matters here. That is literally all that matters here. Okay? It is what it is. Feel however you want, and I can feel however I want. Yeah. I don't like talking about this kind of thing. It's not the answer. It's not the greatest thing in the world. Each situation is different, but, feel however you want. And then I will feel however I want. And nobody is clearly going to feel differently despite what anyone says. So that's where all of this ends up coming to a close there. Yeah. Finally, the gameplay of the game. Same as the first Octopath Traveler. It's a quote-unquote nostalgic turn-based game similar to old-school Final Fantasy games with a unique twist to it. They improved it from the prior game in the sense that each of the characters can now do two unique sort of actions, or path actions as they're called in this game, depending on the time of day that it is in the game, day or night, obviously, as opposed to only one specific unique action that they could do in the prior game. And see, this is where my critiques and complaints come in. This is where they come in, sorry. Yep. This is the complaint and criticism part, unfortunately. Admittedly, some of this might be on me. I am not the greatest at games, in case you haven't already been able to tell. So it could just potentially be my skill level. But I'm still allowed to give them, so that's what I'm going to do, and you're going to hear it, and you're going to have to put up with it unless you choose to not to, which is up to you. So, from my experience with Octopath Traveler 2, and really the franchise in general, I believe there is still a massive problem when it comes to the leveling system and getting levels decently at a decent amount of pace here, and getting levels quickly in this franchise. I legitimately still had to spend what I would call unnecessary amount of time grinding until I got the necessary equipment in order to make that easier. Here's the thing, okay? Either make the grinding less annoying or give access to those items faster. I'm just saying, there is a leveling problem in this franchise in order to get levels quick, fast, efficient, and easily, in the sense that you don't end up having to spend entire sessions doing that. Because there were times where I would spend most of my time grinding levels. I'm just saying. Because the recommended level for the chapters is what mostly caused this. That is what mostly caused this. Some were honestly too high for where I was at in the game. Therefore, I had no choice but to grind levels. So again, either make the grinding easier and faster, or don't make the recommended level so high. Just saying. There is a level problem in this franchise. I'm just telling you what my experience was. If you find a better way to grind, good for you. I didn't. Also, the chapter logic in this game. It's illogical. I'm sorry, it just is. Let's be factual here. Let's be logical here. Isn't it supposed to be chapter 1, then chapter 2, then chapter 3, and so on and so forth? That's how it's supposed to be, right? Yeah, not the case in this game. Not the case in this game. What the fuck? What the fuck? Seriously, that's illogical. It is. It is very, very illogical. Very, very illogical. Because here's the thing. I was doing chapter 3s, and I still hadn't completed chapter 2s yet. That's a problem. How does that make sense? Seriously. How does that make sense? Yeah, it doesn't. Because it doesn't make sense at all. Completely illogical. And some of the bosses were utterly ridiculous. I'm sorry. They were way too high in terms of difficulty and had no right to be that hard. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Some of the bosses were too hard. One of the Agnia chapter bosses in particular, and Hikari's final chapter boss. How about no? How about don't be that fucking ridiculous in terms of difficulty? Just saying. Even the absolute final boss in general was a little too difficult. The first phase, at least. Did I manage? Well, no shit I did. I beat the game. Of course I managed. There was just no reason for any of the bosses to be that utterly ridiculous in terms of difficulty. Is it my skill level? Sure, maybe. Was I doing something wrong? Sure, maybe. There was just some bosses that were way too hard. I'm sorry. I'm just telling you what my experience with the game was. Overall, though, I still had fun with the game. I did. Especially now that I know what I'm doing with Octopath Traveler when it comes to the game and franchise. Yeah, that totally makes sense. That you're not going to struggle as much once you actually know what you're doing. Yeah. So overall, this is a massive, I cannot stress enough how much of a massive improvement Octopath Traveler 2 is over the prior game, the first Octopath Traveler, in multiple ways, and just a massive improvement overall in general. Now, obviously, the game still had problems. No shit, though, and isn't perfect. What a shock and what a concept, right? Games aren't perfect. Nothing is perfect. Stop expecting perfection. Honestly, just be glad that I'm not going to end up being, it's not going to end up being called a disappointment again. Just saying. Just saying. But yeah, it's an overall massive improvement. Not much to say with the music. Unfortunate, because I actually liked the first game's music more. That makes no sense. Except the final boss theme. I'm not telling you to look it up. It's a massive spoiler. Play the game and hear it for yourself. The final boss theme is fucking amazing in this game. It is. It absolutely is. But it's two themes. I do recommend this game. I do. You don't necessarily have to play the first game to understand this. In fact, I really don't think you do. There was nothing that occurred in this first and in the second game that makes you need to play the first. I'm just saying. But it is a part of the franchise, a part of a franchise. And I'm the type of person that is a bit OCD when it comes to playing a franchise. I want to play all of the games in a franchise. That's just me. You can do whatever you want, obviously. But I do recommend this game. So do whatever you want. If you want to play the first Octopath Traveler, play it. But you don't necessarily have to. I'm just saying. But when it comes to Octopath Traveler 2 specifically, I do recommend it. I do recommend it. But just me. Do whatever you want. That's what everyone's going to do, obviously, no matter what I say here. So, before I give my personal score, here's the Metacritic shit. Yeah. Mostly in the B range. 80s or B. If you get rid of the decimal, it's still a B. But my personal score is saying that this is more accurate than this. But my personal score is more along with the critics than the users, because it's pretty much this as opposed to this. But yeah, my personal score for Octopath Traveler 2 is an 8.5 out of 10. I don't remember what my score was for the first Octopath Traveler, because it's not when I was giving scores. I was just giving my thoughts on games before I started giving scores, but it's definitely higher than whatever my score was for the first game. So it's a massive improvement all around. But my score is more similar to the critics than the users, but it is what it is. It's higher than what the users was, so that's a thing. But yeah. And if you're paying attention, it's lower than AI Somnium Nirvana. Just saying. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Poor AI Somnium Files Nirvana initiative. Seriously. Did you get sick of seeing it? Were you sick of seeing it? I'm sure you were. Too bad. It's finally happening. I'm finally playing Final Fantasy XVI for myself. And the DLC. Because you kind of have to play the DLC for it to be a complete experience. I'm finally playing FF16 for myself. I am very biased when it comes to Final Fantasy. The only reason I criticized Crisis Core so much was because they have never referenced it in literally any other FF7 game, unless it's in Rebirth, which I still haven't played. And now there's Part 3. God damn it. Not the point right now. Jeez, sorry. Sometimes laughing makes me cough. I'm fine. I'm just saying. But I am very biased when it comes to FF16. Or not FF16, but just Final Fantasy in general. Everyone has their biases. I have my biases too. We'll see what happens when I actually finish the game. We will. I fully expect FF16 to completely trounce AI Somnium Files Nirvana initiative. Will that actually happen? We'll see. We'll see. Time will certainly tell. Time will certainly tell. But that is my expectation, but nothing is really determined until I finish a game for myself. So we will see. I like action games. I'm sorry. I just do. I just do. I don't care what anyone has said or is saying about FF16. I like action games. What do you expect is going to happen? We'll see. It's literally my next game. So there you go. Nothing else to really say here. Still an event on Sunday. Certain things have been said about certain games by certain people who are technically reliable. But I will believe it when I witness it for myself. Oh, God. Oh, God, if it's real. Oh, fuck my life. Yeah. Look forward to that. This is Mega Champ saying next time I'll be providing you with more unlimited guidance. My next video is not FF16 full thoughts. I will be talking about all of the stuff that happened during the summer gaming events, the State of Play, Summer Game Fest, the upcoming Xbox show. Yes, it counts. They're still third party until proven otherwise. And I may just go ahead and wait for the Nintendo Direct as well. It's rumored for this upcoming week, but we'll see. I kind of feel like I might as well wait if it is this week. If not, then I'll probably do it this next week. But if the Nintendo Direct is this upcoming week, then I'm waiting. But, yeah, my next video is all the stuff from all of the summer game events that I personally liked. Until then, this is Mega Champ saying next time I'll be providing you with more unlimited guidance. I swear to God, if it actually fucking happens, I'm gonna have another impossible choice at the end of the year. I'm just saying. God. See ya. God damn it. Bye.